your bottom dollar, you lose the blues in Chicago. Chicago, the folks who visit all want to settle down. On State Street, that great street, I just want to say they do things they don't do on Broadway. You have the time of your life. Bring all your friends, all your kids, and your wife to Chicago, Chicago, my hometown. Hey now, baby. Chicago, my hometown. Oh, to Chicago, Chicago, my hometown. Yeah.
Well, hello and good evening or afternoon or morning, depending on where in the world you are and watching this from. Welcome to a celebration of latter-day Chicago, if you can call 47 years worth of a band's career that. So two things. First of all, we have to say happy birthday to Peter Cetera, which I completely forgot was today, and so is not a cunning plan of scheduling. No, it's just happenstance. Um, afternoon, Karen. 1:30 in California, which is far from Chicago, but not as far as I am. Welcome, Bostart, and Sensible Plush Mojo. I will take. It's better than Slow Mash Hen. Anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, Bostart likes to give amusing anagrams to people that he knows. Yeah, so that was one thing. And the other thing is, if you're going to do a Chicago live stream, obviously what you're going to do is talk about the Terry Kath era, because that's the good stuff. Well, that is true. But I was always sort of planning to do Chicago in two parts, and I am weird. So I like to save the best till last, and we'll do Terry stuff another time. Tonight there's plenty to listen to and talk about from later on. And there's lots of little mini areas, and we'll get into each of them, probably hear a song from each of them. Won't be a song from every album, because there's still quite a lot of albums in this period, but we'll touch on a lot of things over the course of the next little while. So for those who are new, hello, I'm JSB. I'm from New Zealand, but live in the UK, and I have been a Chicago fan since I was 8 years old. Slightly earlier, actually, but that's when it really kicked in. And what I like to do is kick off with a random song chosen by my iTunes library. So I've got 166 songs here. which comprises just about everything Chicago have released studio-wise, from Hot Streets in '78 up to this monstrosity, Born for This Moment, in 2022. So they will pick the first song, and let's hope it's a good one. If it's not, well, the second one I'll choose and I'll make it better. So let's see what we get. All right, we're starting with a slightly interesting version of the title track of the infamous Stone of Sisyphus album, which I will talk about in a bit. Well, first of all, Evan David, welcome. Hopefully by the end of tonight you'll know a little bit more about Chicago the band, and likewise Kruger. Chicago music might well include the likes of Kanye West, but not tonight. We are solely listening to the band Chicago. Apologies if that is a huge disappointment to you. Well, you're welcome, especially when awake, Evan David. So, this is the... That's all right, Kruger. Yeah, you're welcome to stick around. But, yeah, definitely no Kanye tonight. Other weeks, I do anything across the board. So, on a week where there's just general requests, pop in and we can do some Kanye. We might, just looking, now I've generated this random list, we might have two tracks from this album to kick us off with, and it's an interesting place to start in the story of certainly post-success Chicago. Well, you both start, yes, but hasn't everybody? Have you seen the numbers of the rally in London today? Anyway, this will be a mostly politics-free night, unless we get the American dream turn up, which is possible. Yeah, Karen. Karen says she felt that they were highly disrespected when the record company shelved this album, because for those who don't know, this was meant to be released in early 1994 as the 22nd Chicago album. It finally got released as the 32nd Chicago album in 2008, with some ill-advised tampering. One track that should have been on the album disappeared without explanation. Well, Bosta, you have given me the perfect segue into our next song, because we're going to go to it's a Bill Champlin and Robert Lamb tune from this album. which is really about that, takes a shot at being on the corporate rock treadmill. And I think this is from the heart when it comes to Bill Champlin. I mean, he is a guy who came into the band in the early 80s, played a pretty significant role. Maybe he wasn't ever really happy being in the band because he had his own band in the 70s who were kind of like Chicago, but big difference was they sold no records at all. And here he was fronting a less interesting version of the band by this point. Anyway, the track I'm talking about is Plaid, whatever. Yeah, some good lyrics in this one, and I'll talk over them just to annoy people a little bit. And yeah, as Evan David points out, Sisyphus of Greek myth fame was condemned to roll a boulder uphill for eternity, only for it to always roll back down just before he finished. Chicago took the view that was a representation of the careers, that they kept having these big peaks and then falling right back down to nothing again, but then keeping on going. Well, I haven't seen that boast up, but it doesn't surprise me. Bill did always have a high opinion of himself. I'm not saying that was not justified. But yeah, this song is all about record executives telling you what music you're allowed to make so that they can keep making them rich. Anybody who's available to do so, do vote in the ballad poll as to whether you like ballads, you don't like ballads, or they're alright in moderation. 4 votes so far, all for the in moderation option, which is where I sit, by the way. Well, to be fair, Post-Terry, I think when Bill left the band it was overdue, but at the same time he was fired by email, and that sucks. I mean, not unprecedented. Danny Seraphim, the most underrated drummer in rock history, was sacked over the phone, so it's again one of those this is a group who always sold themselves as a really tight band of brothers, but the way they treated some of each other over the years really doesn't live up to that. But yeah, this album was kind of Chicago's attempt to bring the horns back in a big way, be a bit more adventurous, which they were, and break free of power ballad jail that they were kind of stuck in at this point. But the record company said no, and it sat on the shelf, and they kind of pretty much gave up, really. Oh, Johnny Dacus as well. Yeah, Post-Terry, we'll get to him. And at this point in the band's career, they had a guy called Dwayne Bailey on guitar, but mostly not in the studio. It's Bruce Gaich that you hear on this track and all of this album thing. Oh, Karen. Yeah, I mean, he never liked Colour My World, and he didn't mind who knew it. So after this point where they just became a touring band playing the same songs night after night, and he got bored and would do his weird vocal things, yeah, I can understand it, but it wasn't a good fit. Anyway, let's head back slightly from this to the very end of Chicago's hit-making period, which is a Jason Schiff co-write with Bobby Caldwell of What You Won't Do for Love fame, which hit number 5 in 1990 and would be their last. They had one more top 40 hit in them after that, but this would be the last major hit that they would have. Jason, of course, is the guy who had the unenviable task of following Peter Cetera on the bass and tenor vocals front. I think he did a very good job. He got attacked from a lot of comers over the years, but he was a young guy with not much experience, thrown into some very, very big shoes, and I think he pretty much pulled it off. So let's hear his one real contribution as a writer to the hit side of Chicago that, it does fulfill their late 80s power ballad style, but it also has the horns in there a bit at least. So this is What Kind of Man Would I Be? The single mix, in fact.
Well, it's been one of those days again, and it seems like the harder I try, over and over, I'm right back where I began. But you understand, oh girl, when nothing else in this world goes right.
And this is one of the few Chicago songs that I remember hearing on the radio when it was new. Not too long after I was getting into their earlier music. And after this track, we'll head back to the 70s for a song that should have been a single but wasn't, written by today's birthday boy himself. So, Karen, I believe you were saying you had seen the band recently, or you were going to see them again soon, because I've seen that in recent dates, Lee is the only member now standing, as Robert's sort of vanished over the past year or so, and it looks like Jimmy's going the same way now. So, I mean, understandable, they are pretty old. Oh, you're seeing them tomorrow? Well, I hope this is actually, this is probably going to be a terrible cry, because they don't really play much from this era at all, are they? So where are they playing? Is it the Greek Theatre, or some? I don't even know. I know you're in California. Don't know if you're in LA. Hollywood Bowl. Oh, that would be good.
Tell me what kind of man. Tell me what kind of
Yeah, Evan David, it's definitely the power ballad school, and I mean, it's what they did. And as I say, that got them their last, well, not just last top 10 hit, but last top 5 hit. And that was a mere 35 years ago today. Well, not today, but you know what I mean. Alrighty, so just before I get on to the next song, I think that's another We Can Last Forever. We won't play that. We don't need 2 Jason ballads in a row. The whole thing about Chicago dying when Terry died it's kind of true, but there was another factor. They had, before Terry died, already parted ways with James William Guercio, who was their manager and producer of the first, we'll call them 11 albums. There's really only 9 studio albums out of the first 11. And he had always given them the direction. And he was kind of a bit of a Hitler, but I would love to have seen a universe where, well, obviously a universe where Terry didn't die stupidly at 32. But it's not just one factor that affected them in the late 70s. So on that note, we moved to the second album they made, which was the unluckily titled Chicago 13, after Terry's death, with a song that, as I say, should have been the single from this album, but mysteriously wasn't. It's written and sung by Peter Cetera, who is turning 81 today. So happy birthday to Peter. Let's hear Mama Tate. This features Donnie Dacus on guitar, who was the first gentleman to have to fill Terry Kath's shoes. A lot of big shoes being filled after various members departed one way or another. Karen and indeed anybody else, do feel free to drop in the chat either specific songs or styles or questions or anything else that might guide what I select as we go along. But people do enjoy my curation of the randomness that iTunes is giving me. Yeah, Peter has been declining documentary interviews since time immemorial, really, for a start. And I can't particularly say that I blame him. I think he's been much happier since leaving the band, even if he's not really done an awful lot musically in that time. Life is What It Is a good one, Karen. That would involve having to try and pronounce the co-writer's name. And I've never actually been able to manage that. Doesn't mean I won't play it though, if it should come up. Right here is proof that a Peter Cetera tune could have a nice horn break in it. Yeah, Bo starts asking if Peter kind of became the face of the band member because of If You Leave Me Now. Pretty much. But that was re-emphasised come the 80s comeback when MTV was in play and he was the face of the music videos, and you know, most people still say Peter Cetera, Chicago's lead singer, even though there's a couple of albums from his era where he sings one song. Two of those albums are the best Chicago albums are among them, coincidentally. Bostart says what little he knows of the Post-Terry era, by far his fave is Street Player, which it just happens is next on this random list, so why not stay on this album? But for those who don't like Street Player, we'll just have the single version, so this is 4 minutes and change rather than the full 9 minutes that the album version was. And this, I mean, some Chicago fans throw their hands up in horror at even the mention of this song, but I think it stands up pretty well, actually. And of course it's co-written by Danny Serafin on the drums, who named his book after it, which is a highly recommended read, by the way. Peter on vocals again here, of course. And from this one, we will jump straight into the opening track of the next album, which is another little mini era in its own right, which I will explain when we get there. Last time I saw Chicago, which was 2011, it was still recent enough that this had been used in a sample of some big hip-hop tune, so they actually played this in their set, which is after decades of it being shunned. But yeah, at the time, Dewey Disco was seen as disastrous, and this was famously part of the burning at the Death to Disco rally, this record. It was also the first Chicago single not to chart that was released in the 70s, and this was August of 79, I think, so they had a decade of hits before this brought it to a crushing halt briefly. Ooh, Evan David is asking, as a complete novice in the ways of Chicago, do they sound very different before the era we're highlighting tonight? Was the sound basically the same? Anything that has horns in it, Evan David, is closer to the original Chicago, but there's a lot of stuff from these later areas that really downplay the horns or just treat them as window dressing rather than part of the major part of the arrangements. And yeah, Karen, this is definitely high quality, but it's just bad timing. If they'd been even 6 months earlier with it, it could have been a different story. And that kind of speaks to what they were doing in this era, which was, instead of being the leaders and setting the trends, they were chasing them by this point. Novo start, the lyrics are all Danny's, and it's kind of about his experiences growing up in Chicago, the city that is. Of course, yeah, being one of his songs he did get to show off. Now, we are going to play this song, but before we do, I don't quite know why I have a physical copy of Chicago 14, because I know I didn't buy it since I've been over here. Most of my Chicago albums are in boxes at my mum's place, who's been looking after them for 15 years now. It was only meant to be 2, but hey, I got stuck over here. What can a boy do? But some reason I must have picked this up on a visit home, maybe for the lyrics. But this opens Chicago 14, which was the biggest flop of their career, only hit number 71. And I'm Going to Die on This Hill. This album features Chris Pinnock on guitar, and he is, to my mind, the best guitarist the band had after Terry, by far. But he didn't last particularly long because he was a bit of a, shall we say, bigger guy, didn't really fit the stage aesthetic, and didn't sing. So, yeah. But of this tune, which opens up this album, this is written in 2003 when this remaster came out. Robert Lamb, who writes and sings this one, said, "I had fun doing a song that rocked, but with some serious time changes going on. Lately, I've actually been playing around with it again to see if we can resurrect it. Spoiler alert, they did not." And according to Panko, which is Jimmy Panko, the trombone player and horn arranger, it is just one of those tracks. It's a whirling dervish of a tune. It's always been a favourite of mine. This is Manipulation.
Thought you had me in your pocket, but I never could be bought. I avoided traps you set out. Too many have been caught. Be it love or be it money, it's the bait you must resist. Be it milk
I'm going to give you guys a choice via poll of a couple of big ballads. And there's also going to be an option of neither. Most of you probably know the first one, possibly not so much for the second one, but that's okay because you shouldn't vote for that one anyway. That is live now. It's You're the Inspiration versus If She Would Have Been Faithful, which is awkward syntax at the very best. Yeah, Karen, I love Overnight Cafe. Changed is actually Chicago 16. So, yeah, another good one. Well, there is at least one fun fact about the song Bow Start, so if you do end up hearing it, I can give that at the very least. Yeah, for those who know 80s Chicago, and know how soppy and ballady it is. This just shows there was another path they could have taken.
Be it love or be it money, it's the bait you must resist. Be it milk or be it honey, this is one boy you have missed.
Oh, she would have been faithful as winning. Any more votes? Get them in quick. I suspect you will hear it tomorrow, Karen. Do you just grin and bear it when you hear it in concert, or do you use it for a break, so to speak? All right, well, the people have sort of spoken, and we're going to hear... Well, Karen loathes You're the Inspiration. I don't. Do I loathe this song? Not really, but I do think it's pretty weak. But this is one of the Chicago 18 tracks. So this is the first album after Peter Cetera was gone. And they followed it up, still with David Foster producing. And yeah, it's not a strong album to my ears, but see what you make of it. Now, the fun fact about the song is that, as anybody knows, well, maybe you don't, my three favourite American bands are Chicago, Toto, and Kansas. And in 1986, a chap called Randy Goodrum co-wrote songs that charted for each of them. So this for Chicago, Power for Kansas, and I'll Be Over You with Toto. This is written with Steve Kipner and Randy. So Steve Kipner co-wrote Hard Habit to Break from Chicago 17. The lyrics just feel clunky to me. Something that I thought was love was misinterpreted, rhyming with Someday I'd Be Glad. So this wasn't a huge hit, it made 17. Making it the second biggest single from Chicago 18 stateside. Well, please both start too. I mean, I kind of like the conceit of the song. The idea that someone cheated on you and that turned out well in the end because it meant that you met the real, true love of your life. That's a nice idea. I just don't think it's particularly well executed. Well, Evan David, if there was a band called Dorothy, I'd be into them as well. I also like Tin Man by America. But speaking of hit singles, we will follow this one with the last 70s Chicago hit, which is a pretty good one, I think. Kind of in ballad territory again, and the opposite of this song, lyrically at least. Oh wow. I have a vague feeling I knew this because I'd seen an interview with Steve Kipner in an Australian magazine, but most that tells us that co-writer Steve Kipner in the early 70s was part of an Australian band called Tintin, who had a hit with Toast and Marmalade for Tea, and they were friends of the Bee Gees, and Maurice Gibb produced their debut LP. Karen, yes, you've got it. Yeah, Bosai, good calls. And kids, we're already getting the audio detected message, so we'll see how we go, but we will probably have to head to a part 2 at some point. We shall see. Meanwhile, thank goodness this is over, and here's a much better song. So, of course, the first 2 Post-Terry albums were produced by Phil Ramone, best known for his decade-long association with Mr. Billy Joel. But he had worked for the band before on engineering previous albums, so was a known quantity to the band. He also came back much, much later on and produced one of the Christmas albums, which we're not talking about, because making 4 Christmas albums is ridiculous. Ridiculous, I say. And this is a collaboration between Danny Seraphim, Peter Cetera, and Lee Loughnane, trumpet player for the band. And this song was the most recent song on the album I received for my 8th birthday, The Best of Chicago, which is when I turned from having previously heard of Chicago and quite liked them to being a dedicated superfan. I got that alongside a fairly rubbish cassette player, but it was mine, and it was for the first time I could play music in my room while other people watched rugby in the TV. Or cricket in the summer. It was a lifesaver. Back on Steve Kipner, Vostart says his dad was Aussie producer Nat Kipner, whose production credits included Specs and Spec for the Bee Gees. I did not know that. Our next port of call, I believe, will be get us right up to date with one of the few listenable tracks from the most recent full-length Chicago studio album, and probably last ever, I would have to assume at this point in time. Yeah. I mean, the first single from the album was Alive Again, which is an even better song. We probably won't get to that tonight, who knows? But I do love Only Time Can Heal the Wounded, but we haven't got time for everything. So let's hear a different Robert Lamb tune, this time from, as I say, Born for This Moment, which is basically a horrendous listen. I've got a friend, Perplexio, that I've just reconnected with. We used to talk Chicago on the internet in the early days, like the 2000s, and he's told me that he can't even listen to a second of this album because the production's so bad. I don't mind the production so much, the songs I mind. Anyway, this is She's Right, and it's a Robert Lamb song, and you can really hear the age in his voice on this one. He's pretty rough, and remember, I'm saying this is a highlight of this album, so bear that in mind. It is at least up tempo. I quite like that one as well, Karen, and Safer Harbours, which is another option, Neil's song. But yeah, Boast, Karen could probably tell us more about that because she has seen him in concert, and we'll be seeing him again tomorrow. But last time we spoke, she was very positive about him from a performance point of view. It took them a long time to realise that they didn't have to get a singer and bass player to fill Peter's shoes. I don't know about soonish, Evan David, but certainly sometime we will, yeah, do a Paul Simon stream. I don't know if you have caught the Paul Simon songbook video I did with Sean, but if not, I highly recommend that you do. What can I say? Just because we happened to play it on last week's stream, I have Naked in the Garden of Allah is on the list, but I will whiz past that one on this occasion. And take us back to Chicago 14 after this, because I said I would. Karen, I was just saying that Boast was mentioning Neil, and not so much a question, but just your thoughts on what Neil brings to the band, especially in the live setting these days. Alrighty. Tempting, but no. Yeah, that's the Jimmy Pankow tune that I'm not playing, Show Me a Sign, which was just one of those new songs on greatest hits compilations that they did a run of in the late 90s. But we'll go to a different Jimmy Pankow song, the one that closed Chicago 14, which I mentioned earlier, is probably the only political song we'll get for the night, because early Chicago has a lot of politics in it, mainly from the pen of Robert Lamb, but this is a Jimmy Pankow tune who really tended to shy away from it. But sadly, this one's relevant to this week, I think. So let's take in the American Dream. Oh, so he's now playing acoustic guitar as well. So he's... I mean, how many people are in Chicago at the moment? Because the picture for this album has 10 people in it, many of whom I can't actually name. Oh, when you say already, Bo-Start, are you seeing something I haven't? Oh, right, I see. Yeah, for a second I thought that we'd gone down without me seeing, but yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, Karen, to have as many as you need to fill those very noticeable gaps these days. As long as the music is still good, at least there's still a semblance of the originals kicking around. So it's not like Foreigner, who are down to 0 people who played on anything now. Yeah, so another good one from Chicago 14, which I would call that a good Chicago album, not a great one. It could have been a great one with a little bit of rejigging and a slight revamp to the track list, but hey, it wasn't, and it isn't. Now, we will move to just one album forward, but of course 2 numbers, because there was a greatest hits released in between that bought Chicago out of their contract with Columbia Records, as they were at the time, moved to Full Moon, which was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers, and had their big comeback album with Chicago 16. And this is a song Karen mentioned earlier. It's from the first album produced by David Foster, who was a Canadian, and this is written by Ian Thomas, who was pretty well known in Canada and not very well known outside of Canada. So, yeah, this is his song. Sung again by today's birthday boy, Peter Cetera. This is Chains. Yeah, Bo-Start, you're talking about Jeff Pilson, who is, I think, still in there and still Foreigner's musical director. Was, of course, part of Dokken in the 80s. But yeah, there's been no new music from them for 15 years now, 16 years. Yeah, Unusual Heat's not a terrible effort most time. And I did enjoy seeing Foreigner with Kelly in the early days, because it was kind of like a mini supergroup with him, Jason Bonham on drums the first time I saw them, and obviously Jeff Wilson. But just got watered down more over the years. Well, I feel, Bostart, that Chicago 16 is not my favourite Chicago album, or even of the 80s, but it was a really strong attempt at updating their sound for the new era that paid off. 17's, for my money, got better songs, but isn't much of a Chicago album. It's much, well, it's almost entirely a pop record, a very good one, but horns might as well not be there for the most part. True, Phil Collins' sons have not done too badly for themselves either. I feel we're bound to get a track from 17 at some point, but oh hell, let's play this one. This is the third ballad from Chicago 17, the one that wasn't a hit single and has therefore not been hideously overplayed.
Shadows were hiding what I couldn't see. Out in the dark, she was calling.
This was a rare co-write between Peter and Bill Champlin, who we were talking about at the top of the string. A decade that we haven't featured so far is the 2000s, unless you count Stone of Sisyphus finally being released in 2008. But we'll hear a song from the one proper new Chicago album that decade, which was another fairly hideous disappointment when it came out for me. But this track that's coming up is again, pretty good song from a pretty bad album. Wowza, Karen, are we going back to the 70s for that? Foreigner opening for Fleetwood Mac? Oh, you are testing me, Post-Terry. And no, off the top of my head, it's not ringing a bell. What album are we talking? I'm trying to remember if there was a Bill song on Sibling Rivalry. Or is it on... I mean, it has to be on a relatively recent one, which could be Cycles or Brotherhood, I don't know. Yeah, this is Sibling Rivalry. Yeah. I can't think of it, and I don't really like any of Tom's songs on that album. See, I do like Can't Stand to Lose, Post-Terry, but I probably prefer the version that Poco did a couple of years after. I like both versions, though. So, as with most recent Doobies albums, I like Pat's songs and not much else. And that includes Walk This Road. Yeah, I do like that song, I have to say, even if it is a soppy ballad. That's another soppy ballad song for you. We won't do that one, but we will do what I mentioned before. This is a from the album that was co-produced by Jay DeMarcus of Rascal Flatts, which is kind of a countryish American band who were very big in the States for a time and not really well known outside of the States, I wouldn't have said. So the producer of this album and Jason have worked together since on Jason's solo album and in a group called Generation Radio, who I think are about to put out their second album. I didn't find the first one worth buying, but there you go. Yeah, Karen, oh, I'm going to give you a choice, Karen. Do you want to have the title track, or would you like, instead, what else can I offer you? Free at Last. Yeah, you let me know. You can pick that one for us. Yeah, Post-Terry, not really. There's one Michael song on there that I quite like, and there's one Tom song that I quite like, but yeah, that only adds up to half an album, really. Free at Last, a fine choice, Karen. Quite the lineup. Post-Terry, Foreigner FM, Bob Welch and Pablo Cruz. Wow. Oh yeah, both the Mac were at their absolute peak in '78, but they were also at their peak of cocaine use, probably. And Foreigner were a new, hungry band. I can see how they might have outshone them in those circumstances. Interestingly, with Jay DeMarcus working with them on this album, he had to approach each of the band members individually and get them all to approve and taking the job on. And Robert Lamb was really enthusiastic about it. And till the point where he selected the songs and only chose 2 of Robert's, which led him to deriding the final result as Bill and Jason product. And then, of course, he put out most of those songs on a solo album not too long after. And you can see that they were better than most of the songs that made the album. So, yeah, again, when I'm saying this is a highlight of an album, it's not an outstanding song, but I enjoy it. But, you know, yeah. On for this moment, the title track of the most recent album, I do not enjoy, so we won't be hearing that. But in between those 2 albums, which were neither of them were particularly good, we do get this album, which is Chicago 36 now. And this was the Chicago album I had been waiting for a long time. Robert Lamb heavy, sort of takes us back to a 70s sound, and you particularly hear this in the song that Karen has selected from, admittedly, a choice of 2. Especially the opening sounds like Keith Howland is channeling the rhythmic side of Terry Kath, I think. So let's go to 2014 and Free at Last.
Things I thought would make me happy.